The Fueled by Death guest.
Cool. So can you talk about your background, your experience before Death Wish, how you ended up here?
Sure. So I actually I went to school for English. I have a college degree in English, and I started working for a publishing company right in my senior year of college, though I took some breaks during college.
Were you working for the company, or were you just an intern?
I was an intern, but it was full-time. It actually, I don't know, it was like really cool because what they did was my entire semester was just credits in my internship. So I basically had a job.
Yeah.
And it just went right towards school. So
That's awesome.
Okay. Wait, were they paying you? Or?
Yeah.
Oh, that doesn't suck.
Yeah, so I worked for a publishing company that published textbooks. And they were beauty textbooks. So if you go to cosmetology school, you would use the books that I used to work on. And I was an editorial assistant, which meant that I just like managed budgets and I managed authors and all the fun stuff. And then I'm very into fashion, and I started sort of writing for blogs and doing Fashion Week and runway stuff. And so then I started writing for a couple magazines on a freelance basis. So my main gig has always been, being a writer. So that's kind of what I've always worked towards. So I have written for tons of magazines. And then Thomas Dragonetti, who's the art director here,
We talk about him every
Our
now
listeners
and then.
know him well.
Yeah.
Thomas, he is a good friend of mine and my fiance's, and he one day had come over for a party at my apartment, and it was right after Death Wish won the Super Bowl, and he said, he was like, man, like, we really need somebody to write things.
Yeah.
And it was basically that, like, we just need somebody to write things. And I was like, oh, I didn't even, really think about that with Death Wish. And he was like, yeah, I don't know what really could happen, but just go check it out. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah.
Email Mike and say,
Right.
hey, I'm a writer and I like coffee.
Yeah.
So basically I emailed Mike and I'd never heard back from him. And then I think it was like 5 months later, I get this very random email from Mike Brown being like, hey, do you want to come in and meet everybody and like chat about things? And I was like, oh, I forgot I even sent that email since I hadn't heard anything.
It's
and
kind of the weird thing about life. You
Yeah.
throw a lot of like lines out there, and you never know what's gonna catch, and it's always almost like the least expected one that
Totally.
catches sometimes. It's really weird, but I guess that means, that's the purpose of being thorough, because you never know what'll lead to success
Right.
or
Totally.
what you're looking for in general.
Right.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So were you interning at the time that you were?
No.
Where were you working at that time?
So I was still working there, but I went from being an intern to an editorial assistant to I was then their social manager. So it's a different sort of business than what we really think of because you're working with schools. But I was running all of their social media, all of their blogs, all of that sort of marketing side for that company, as well as doing all of the freelance writing on the side.
Oh, wow.
So, and that's where I was there, and I was ready for a change. I'd been there since I got out of college.
Yeah.
And Death Wish was obviously a very big change from what I was working on.
Yeah.
So
yeah, a little bit of culture shock there.
Yeah.
I remember I'm like, I probably shouldn't swear so much around Alyssa.
Oh, I remember that. That was so funny. Yeah.
And then I remember like Eric was dealing with something quite difficult, and he was like, fuck ass, fuck.
Yep.
And it's not actually like Eric to be like that.
Not at all.
And he's so nice and jolly that it's almost surprising. And I looked over at you and you're like,
Yeah.
just wide-eyed, like, oh Jesus, what did I rope myself into?
Yeah. Yeah, it was definitely a culture shock, but it was so I came from obviously like a very corporate place, and I remember Mike telling me like, "Hey, so just so you know, you're the first like real,
Professional. You didn't want to say it, but I'll say it for you.
that we've hired from another company and sort of brought in that way. So just know that
Yeah.
And then I got there and and everybody was so fun and wonderful, so it
Yeah.
totally made up for it. But it was
Yeah.
absolutely a culture shock.
It's never coming from a bad place.
No,
so
no,
it's
never.
not like threatening,
No.
but it can be intimidating if you're not ready for it.
I mean, and I think it's rubbed off on me a little bit too. Every once in a while, I'll catch myself I'm like, oh my God, I would never say that.
Welcome to Death Wish.
Yeah.
So from the time that you started to basically now, how have you seen the company change, especially your role in the company? How have you seen kind of that progress?
Yeah. It's crazy to see, that was one of the reasons why I was so intrigued with coming here was I'm like, wow, this company is really on a huge growth trajectory and there's so much room for opportunity and really the community, I've never seen anything like it. They're so rabid and they love it and the team loves it and everybody is just all going toward this same goal. And I was like, that's something that could be really amazing to be a part of. And keeping in mind, it's still been under a year since I've been here, so my role is changing every day, and I'm still trying to really define it and see where it goes. And as we add new people and add new avenues, and we see what the community wants to be reading and what they want to be watching, it's changing every day.
Right.
Is there some avenues that we're not in that you think we would do well in?
That we're not in?
Yeah.
I mean, I will say we've been pretty good about being like, let's just try all the things right now.
Yeah.
Totally.
But, no, I think we're working toward getting video to be a huge thing, and I think we just got to keep plugging away at that and keep asking people what they want to see and sort of making sure that we're working toward the same goal as our community is.
I think that's a big part of it. I mean, that's why we started adding video even to the podcast, just because, it's people, we live in such a highly consumable, easily consumable, like very short consumable world, of what we consume, and it's interesting to be part of a company, like you said, that is just like, let's try all of it. Let's do all of those things and see what kind of sticks. In that sense. Do you think we should get into the fashion world?
Yeah. So actually, it's funny. That is like the weird dichotomy of my life is this like, we've got this like really badass Death Wish and fashion, but fashion's also really badass too.
Totally.
And I told this to everybody when I first started. Fashion girls love coffee.
They really do.
They really do.
Yeah.
And
early morning photo shoots.
Yeah. And just like
time.
being like,
yeah.
all the time. So, so I definitely, I think that we are in there as interesting as that is. There's actually a couple bloggers that, I'm friends with that I've sent the coffee to and they're like, what is this stuff?
Awesome.
Yeah, that's an untapped market for sure.
Yeah, it is.
So speaking on fashion a little bit, was fashion something you were always interested in, even as a little girl?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
What got you into fashion? What do you know like kind of the antithesis of that?
I don't. You know what? I think that style is the great equalizer of the world. I think that even if you're not into fashion per se, what you wear can define you, and it's even if you're wearing hand-me-downs from Target or if you're wearing Balmain, it doesn't matter. If you have a sense of style that you want to put out to the world, you can do it. And that's to me is such an amazing equalizer, and it's a way to express yourself unlike anything else in the world. And when I was younger, I had, a couple of traumatic things happen to me with my arm. I burnt myself really bad. I was in the hospital for a really long time. And I think when I came out of that, fashion was really a way for me it was just something that I could get into and just use to really express myself. And I'm such a nerd about it. Like, I love designers and I love models and I love all of that stuff. So that's really what it is.
Well, you've covered some of like the biggest events in fashion too. I mean, like you were saying that you for a couple of years there you were going to Fashion Week. Yeah. And do you still do that?
Yeah. So Fashion Week's weird because it goes from a Wednesday to a Wednesday. But even I obviously am at Death Wish during the week. Right. So but even in February I was there on Saturday and Sunday. I love actually this last Fashion Week I had this cool opportunity to meet with this young girl who has muscular dystrophy, and her wish was to attend Fashion Week. And so, I don't know, I got linked up with her somehow, and I got to take her around, and it was like the most incredible. She reminded me why fashion's so magical, because for her, she's in a wheelchair, and she doesn't really get to, she can't like move around the same way everybody else can, but she can use fashion to really express herself and like be her own person, and she just loves it. She's so obsessed with it, and that was a really, really cool moment for me.
It's interesting because, I mean, I know both Dustin and myself aren't super into fashion, as you can see, but
I like my shirt.
You know
But-
what?
I think I'm pretty hip.
I think he's hip too.
But the thing is, when you put it in the way that, it's more about that, it's about, creating a style. I see that in a lot of avenues of things that I'm interested in. Like, I use this example a lot, like a rock star makes themselves who they are, not just from the music that they create, but the look that they're putting out. You know, I mean, that's why grunge movement was a movement not only in music but in style too. You know, and it like you could easily identify with that.
I think styles has this like weird middle ground where you can be underdressed and be uncomfortable, but you can be overdressed too. You have to find that like middle ground where it's like, I actually feel right in these clothes, and you can almost read it on people when you meet somebody in their leather boots and the chains everywhere. It's like, you don't look comfortable in that. But at the same time, I've seen people, for example, like Zach Wilde, dressed in all that shit. It's like, that's who he is. That seems right.
Yeah, that's when he's living his best self. And I think that, I mean, even like you, Jeff, you wear a hat every single day,
every
right?
day. Mm-hmm.
And then that's you. Like, you put that hat on and you're like, this is Jeff.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And it's that one accessory that you put on makes you feel your best self.
I have thousands of accessories, but yes, the hat it's all, and it's funny because there was a time period in my life, I think about freshman, sophomore in college, to about almost senior in college, where I did not wear a hat. Like I was like, I'm gonna be a different person.
And nobody liked you.
But it was weird. Like I colored my hair at that time, and
what color, Jeff?
Blonde. I was blonde. I was a blonde.
I like it. You're like blonde.
And how did it feel? Amazing,
Oh,
right?
it was great. Okay, full disclosure.
Blondies over here.
Full disclosure. I forget the name of the band. It escapes me.
Blink 182.
No, late 90s. There was a song called "The Freshman."
Oh yeah.
You know the song I'm talking about?
Of course, we were merely
Yeah,
I was just singing that yesterday.
That's that song. Well, the singer of that band.
She was touching her face.
That's it. Well, the singer of that band, The Verve. Is that
Yes.
band?
Yes.
Yeah. The
Sounds
singer
right.
of that band had this killer blonde hair, and I remember being like,
No.
I was like, I could rock that, and I did, and so that's I was like, I'm gonna have like blonde surfer hair for like 3 or 4 years, and I didn't wear a hat, and I never felt, and it's funny thinking back on it, I never felt like myself.
Yeah.
You know, I was definitely trying to be somebody else, and it wasn't my style, it wasn't like my deal, and then I started wearing hats.
I think that's part of finding your style, though, as far as like you see something that, oh, that's intriguing, I'll try that, and then you do something weird with your fucking head, and then you're like, wow, I look dumb.
I mean, again, I went through lots of different phases, like we all did in our younger years. I mean, when Marilyn Manson hit, I was right on the front lines with everybody else.
Yep.
Black everything, chain wallet, the whole nine. I was like goth or nothing.
I just got rid of my chain wallet.
Really?
I believe in the usefulness of a chain wallet.
Yes. Sure.
I was never worried about somebody pickpocketing me because it was connected to me.
I lost
That's
my
right.
wallet so many times. When I had a chain wallet, it was the only wallet I never lost.
Yeah.
Because it was chained
Let's bring
to
back
me.
chain wallets, guys.
Yeah.
Okay. Good. Okay. I only got rid of mine because I had to put my wallet in my front pocket because I was starting to get like weird back problems.
Yeah.
from keeping
I have
my
a chain
wallet.
wallet. It's called a purse. It just goes on my shoulder.
That's true.
All right, chain wallets forever. Do you think Death Wish should have a dress code?
No.
love it.
That's hilarious because so I actually remember now my old job had a dress code and then they dropped the dress code and it was
Okay.
like everybody showed up in jeans and t-shirts for like 3 weeks because
there was
they
no more
you
dress code.
suddenly could.
Wow.
But coming into Death Wish, which was really awesome for me, is I think like the the working style here is everybody loves their band tees. Everybody loves their jeans.
Yep.
We got a few Dickies wearers in the office.
Yep.
And I love it.
Yeah.
I think it's cool. I think
Yeah.
it's a way for that people express themselves. And when people walk in, I've had people say to me that I've worked with, like, for instance, somebody that Dustin and Eric had met at SCAA.
Yeah.
They were like, yeah, you know when Death Wish is walking down the aisle.
That's true.
And
It's so true.
and we've gotten that just at different events that we work, whether it's, Comic-Cons or even coffee type conventions. It's become this thing that we're the guys and girls that show up that, and we look like rock stars, and we carry ourselves like
I think
rock
everybody's really comfortable with the shit that they wear. Too.
Yeah, for
Right.
sure.
I think that's big.
Because you
For
look at some,
sure.
especially coffee conventions, you look
Yeah.
at some of these other companies that are out there, and some of them have dress codes.
Or like
Some of them-
uniforms with
or
like the company
uniforms.
name.
Yeah.
Like the khakis on the black or the khaki on the black or whatever,
Yeah.
and it's just like, and it gets lost in the mix, the sea of all the companies or
Right.
all the vendors that you're walking through, and then like a sore thumb,
Yeah.
there's Death Wish
All
cards.
Right.
tattoos and T-shirts.
Yeah. And I think that's, I again, bringing it back to what you were talking about, that's our brand. That's our style.
Yeah.
We are that. Even
freedom.
Yeah. Well, it's
even
like,
though we're the employees of that brand as well, it's like we embody that the style, the branding that we're trying to put out there.
yeah, I mean, it's the strongest coffee. It's about being your strongest self. And if you want to wear a band t-shirt, cool. If you want to wear a suit, awesome. If you want to wear your pajamas, great.
Yeah.
I haven't
mean-
seen that yet. Has anybody worn their pajamas
No,
yet?
no. Maybe not to work, but I
Maybe,
mean, I just mean
maybe
in
we
life.
should have a pajama day.
I think we should have a pajama day. That might get a little weird, especially with people like Kane in the
I was
office. But
Gross.
Speaking on Death Wish, though, and you've been here for almost a year, you said?
Almost a year. September will be a year.
Nice.
We like to ask when we have the employees on this question because we're always curious of this too. Where do you see us going? Do you see, like, and I'm talking a year, 3 years, 5 years, like where do you see, are there specific things you see for this company like that
Yeah.
we're going to be achieving?
Yeah.
Or that you'd like us to achieve?
Yeah. I mean, I'd love to see, I think that we have a very core group of people that are drinking our coffee right now, and I'd love to see those people help us spread the word to different groups.
I almost spilled my drink all over the
That would have
the
been
equipment.
bad.
Yeah, that would have been really bad. Sorry, didn't mean to startle you.
No, just helping us. Like, I want to see us in colleges. I want to see us at the backstage of Fashion Week and at the backstage of a baseball game. I want to see all of these different types of people drinking our coffee because everybody loves strong coffee and it's delicious. And I think it can really. It's what I've seen from this. It's a unifier, right? We've got all these people that are like, you can find common ground in the fact that you love coffee. And so if we have all these different group of people really drinking our coffee and living the lifestyle, even if they don't like coffee, we still have a lifestyle,
Right.
You know.
Totally.
So I think that I'd like to see us grow as a lifestyle brand. And I'd like to see us, reaching out to different groups of people on college campuses. That's my, I know it.
I'm with you on
Yeah.
that one. And do you think that's just kind of staying on the same track that we're doing? Do you think we need to
Yeah.
be implementing anything? Or-
Yeah, no, I think I think we got to stay on the same track. It's something that's been really awesome to see as we have such a small team and seeing all the things we do with such a small team. I think as we grow, we're going to be able to do more,
Yeah.
Definitely.
more and more, and just it's tight knit, which is cool. And I think everybody just everybody's good at something, and it's really awesome to see all these different talents come together to bring this big idea to life.
And let's speak on big ideas a little bit because we did have Thomas on an earlier episode, and we
Sure.
talked a little bit about this as it rolled out. But you and Thomas and Taya make up our marketing department, and you guys came up with Grind It Out, which is our awesome new campaign.
Or as I like to call it, Grunded Out.
Grind It Out. And I kind of want to hear a little bit from your side of it, like how that kind of came to be and how we're implementing that.
Yeah, so I think me coming in as, I don't want to say an outsider because that sounds weird, but I came in, I think, with a fresh set of eyes to the company.
Definitely.
And we started to look at, how our coffee was living within all these different types of people, because I started to meet, a construction worker who was like, I drink this coffee because I have really long hours at my job and I need it to get through. And a nurse who says, I work overnights and I drink this coffee because it keeps me awake. Or a radio host that says, I drink this coffee because I have to wake up at 3:15 a.m. and, look pretty on camera and meet celebrities, and I need caffeine to get me through the day. So where it really came from is we kind of wanted to highlight those stories. And the other part of that is we wanted to be able to say, you know what? Your grind is you. And that you don't have to be, if you're a construction worker, that's awesome. Mm-hmm. And we want to show that is awesome and important, no matter what. It's an important job. I have to sit in this building, and a construction worker built it, and that's important.
Yeah, and that's what I really love about the Grind It Out campaign, because it's kind of on the same vein of when Dustin and I came up with the idea for Fueled by Deathcast. It was, we never wanted to talk to the same type. I mean, we want to talk to the same types of people, but we never wanted to just pigeonhole it and be like, we're only going to talk to rock stars. Or we're only going to, because everybody does something that's them, like you said. And I think that's really cool that that you guys came up with an idea that took the emphasis off of the brand itself, and it was about the people that are enjoying the brand and the coffee.
Yeah, I mean, I think that we, last year with the Super Bowl, we talked a lot about ourselves, which is what we needed to do for sure. And now it's time to turn around on the people that help us get to this point and are going to help us grow it to the next point. So, I'm happy that we've been able to highlight some really amazing Death Wish drinkers. And we've got tons more coming out still. And
which is awesome. This is going to run throughout the rest of the year, correct?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome. And we've been talking a lot about it on this podcast. If you guys haven't, heard me ramble on the last couple episodes, but all you have to do is follow the hashtag Grind It Out and check out all of our awesome stuff on deathwishcoffee.com, because I love it.
And give us feedback too. I want to hear what you guys think. And it's an ever-evolving project, and if you guys are saying, we love this and we want to see more of this, we want to hear that. So let us know, and wherever you can reach us in 1,000 different places. Just let us know.
Like D-Man and myself have been actually saying on the podcast, the best way to interact with the Grind It Out campaign is use the hashtag yourself. You're grinding. You're out there grinding it out, doing something. Even just having fun perusing the internet, and if you're posting about it, use that hashtag, and then we can all kind of be in this conversation, which is again why I love this campaign. I think it's really neat. So as we boil all of this down and everything that you've brought to the table, and that you're continuing to do, awesome stuff for this company like Grind It Out, and then, still with your passion with the fashion world and all that stuff, what fuels you to keep doing that? What fuels you to get up every day and want to continue to write and, be in fashion, be in Death Wish, do all these different things?
I should have been prepared for this question, because I know you ask it on every podcast, so I should have prepared myself. I think that it's weird, because this is obviously like the easy and corny answer, but it's just true. There's just something about writing in particular, and being able to write to an audience, that is buried deep within my soul, that I can't not do it. I think if I wasn't doing it, I would not be myself. So what wakes me up and gets me, I write every morning. The first thing I do when I wake up is I write. So if I didn't do that, it's like having coffee to me. Yeah. It's just part of who I am.
That's cool.
I think it's the passion, really, I guess, that fuels me to do it. But it's hard. It's hard too at the same time. You're putting yourself out there. So.
Do you ever think about writing a book, or?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. That's.
What would you write it on?
It would probably be a fiction book that I may or may not have started. But you know what? It's weird. It's something that I talk to my friends about all the time, because it's something I've always wanted to do and finish. Mm-hmm. It's hard to do that when you're working so much, obviously, but that's not an excuse. I don't think it's an excuse. I think it's something where I've actually been recently trying to implement this thing where I take 3 hours a week to work on it. Mm-hmm. whether it's in the morning or if it's right before I go to bed or before I make dinner or whatever, and just take 3 hours, doesn't matter when it falls in my week, and just work on that passion project that I have, because the only person stopping me doing it is me.
Correct.
So if I'm the only one standing in my way, so if I have this big dream of, writing a book someday, well, Alyssa, you just got to do it.
Yeah.
And
it's funny because, I have a little bit of a writing background too, and taking your thought process from something like a journalistic type of writing towards a creative type of writing, you have to learn how to compartmentalize how you're approaching those two things, because it is next to impossible to sit down and write an article and then turn around and in the same breath start writing fiction. It's because you have to kind of flip that switch. So I think it's really smart of you to be like, I'm going to actually allocate time every single week. Yeah. So therefore you kind of are able to flip that switch.
Yeah, and I think that goes for anything creative or any sort of passion that people have. Like, I hear people say, "Oh, I wish I was doing blah. I wish I was doing this. I wish I was doing that." And it's wishing is great. Just do it.
Just do it.
Yeah. Just make it happen. I get life is hard, and there's a lot of crap in the world and things that are happening and kids and whatever. But this is like you get one go. So just
why not
do what you want to do.
Why not fill it with as much as you can?
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people get deterred because
no.
Welcome to the 8-year-old podcast. Because they suck at it at first. But one of the quotes I love is the first step to being good at anything is sucking at it.
Yep.
Didn't Jake the dog say that?
Yeah.
Nerd.
There's a lot of times where I'm like, I'm a decent writer, but then there's things that I write and I'm like, wow, that's crap.
Yeah.
And and that's fine.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Yeah, totally.
That's what that's how you get through things. And the other piece of advice that I was given once was, if you want to be a good writer, you better have a strong stomach.
Totally.
Because you're going to get a lot of rejection and a lot of crap, and it's painstaking. Any sort of creative. You guys are musicians, you know this.
Yeah.
Getting any good work out is painstaking, and you have to have a strong stomach for it.
Oh, you totally do. And rejection is part of anything, especially in a creative sense. I had multiple rejection letters on various pieces of fiction that I wrote. I also had multiple rejection letters from record labels, throughout the years. Just recently, actually, just a couple years ago, I burned them all, and it was very cathartic.
Burn it all.
I was holding on to them for some strange, nostalgic.
What was the theme music playing in the background when you burned that?
I don't know. Probably Journey. Don't Stop Believing Me.
I love it.
So it was more of an uplifting than an angry thing.
Totally. You gotta kind of let that stuff go because it only makes you better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can't let it. You can't stick your ego in there. I guess, right?
Right.
And trust. I mean, I am not above. My ego has gotten in the way so many times where I've gotten rejected. I'm like, what the hell? Like, this is not something that.
Right.
And then it's like, when the second you do let your ego, you realize, oh, that's just my ego.
Yeah.
You go, oh, okay, all right, moving on.
Next project.
Moving on.
Yeah.
That kind of brings it into something that we always ask employees too. Now you've only been here for less than a year, so you might not even have an answer to this yet. But we love to hear stories. We never talk about, like we've just said, we never really talk about things that are failures.
Yeah.
Because you should never look at something as a failure. We always go back to E.J. Snyder. He said you either win or you learn, and that's like a big thing. But implementing a lot of different ideas, especially from the marketing side in this company, has there been anything that has kind of, you were like, this is going to work, and it just didn't?
Well, so yeah, I actually haven't really been here yet for that long, but I think I'm still in the trial phase, and we've been trying a lot of stuff, and we have a lot of big ideas that I'm really excited to share with everybody, but I'm not going to do that right now.
Yep.
That will definitely test this thing, but what I will say about failure, I totally love that you fail or you learn.
Yeah.
But I'm also okay with saying like, I just kind of messed that up.
Right. But I mean,
And
again,
yes, you learn from that
you learn
for
from
sure.
that. You learn from that.
For
And
sure.
what's cool is the reason why we do like to ask that question is because, like you said earlier, is that this company is just like, let's try everything.
All the things.
And some things just don't
Let's
work.
try apple coffee.
Right.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Let's not try that again.
But anyway, on the coffee, another question we ask
Yes.
every single time.
I want to ask Jeff.
Yeah, you do
Okay.
it.
Valhalla Java or Death Wish?
Oh.
You have to pick.
You have to pick.
Death Wish.
What?
Really?
Really?
Well, okay. So here's the thing. Let's break this down for
Let's
a second.
break this down.
Okay.
Because I love the smell and taste of Death Wish.
Uh-huh.
I love coffee.
Yeah.
Sometimes if I drink too much Death Wish, I am a very shaky and panicky, crazy person.
Amen.
Lots of our fans are too.
And so sometimes the Valhalla is a little bit easier on the nerves for me.
Yeah.
And that's totally why
Yeah.
I love that we bring both these brands
Yeah.
to the table, because it's the same aesthetic, it's the same good coffee. I mean, it's not the
Yes.
same when you break it down to the beans, but I
Right.
mean, it's coming from the same good place, but they're two different flavor profiles, two different types
They are.
of coffee.
And one of them won't give you full-blown anxiety
Yeah.
attacks if you
True.
drink too much. Well, it might.
Yeah.
You have to test that water.
Yeah, and it's so funny to me because there are some people that it doesn't affect them at all. But I'm an anxious person in general. I'm a
Yeah.
very nervous person,
Amen.
so it just depends on the day. But if
Yeah.
you're like Thomas, for instance, Thomas and I sit right next to each other, literally as close as Jeff and I are sitting right here, and there will be days where Thomas will drink the coffee and he where I would get nervous and I'd be like, nobody talk to me. Thomas will be like, woo!
Yeah, oh yeah, no, he
Yeah,
becomes super
yeah.
fun Thomas sometimes.
He's mellow yellow, though. He's
Yeah.
able to. I can't do that either.
Yeah.
I'm like 1 cup in the morning, a Zevia in the afternoon.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's pretty much all the caffeine I can take in a
Yeah.
day. I've tried to like full-blown caffeine it, and I don't know. I ended up in the doctor's office with like serious headaches every day, like
Right.
really, really, really bad headaches. Like
Right.
can only stand being in the darkest room possible kind of
Whoa.
headaches, like really bad. And I didn't even know, what was causing it. I was like, Jesus, doc, I think I got a brain tumor.
Yeah.
It's like, how much caffeine are you taking?
Really?
Yeah. And
Very
at the time, I wasn't
interesting.
working here. I was working in a late night restaurant and was
I-
relying on outside sources for energy, and so
Right.
definitely got carried away with caffeine all around.
I remember the days when Dustin didn't even drink coffee at all.
Yeah.
Didn't even like it.
Yeah.
But I've always been a coffee drinker,
too.
and it's funny because before I started working here, I was working in restaurants and kitchens forever, and my routine was coffee until noon and then tea afternoon.
Right.
But it usually still caffeinated tea, usually like Earl Grey or something
Right.
like that. And now that I'm here, I should probably bring tea in and go back to that because I've just substituted Valhalla
There's some tea
for
here.
tea.
Yeah.
I know there's some tea here,
Yeah.
but it's just like, it's really become like I'll drink Death Wish until noon,
Yeah.
and then I switch to Valhalla. I drink
God.
Valhalla
Yeah.
until like 4.
Oh my god.
Yeah, and there's always like in the morning, there's like the Ox Box is
Yeah.
running with Death
Yeah.
Wish, and there's
Yeah.
the brewer running with Death Wish, and Chemex is running with Death Wish. So I think, and you can see people sort of switch to
Yeah.
Valhalla water or
Yeah.
tea
Yeah.
in the afternoon
Or
because we all
maybe-
drink a lot of Death Wish in the morning.
Or maybe other nameless brands of coffee that we might indulge in from time
Sure.
to time.
Well, people
Sure.
know. I mean, if you're just tuning into this show and you never heard us talk about that before, one of the things that's great about this company is we're so curious about the industry at large.
Yeah.
Whenever we see a new brand out there or a brand that's like doing really well or has a new flavor or something like that, we usually order it, and then as a collective we try it because we're super interested about
And
it.
as a
Yeah.
collective, we judge it very, very harshly.
Yes.
Extremely harsh.
Yeah.
And they're all inferior. I'm just kidding. Sorry. I
It's
got
not
too
true.
intense there.
It's not true.
It's there's room for all of us, and we all love all different things and different levels of caffeine at certain days, and
Yeah, totally.
more caffeine on other days, and it's yeah.
So wait, let's go back to the original question.
Oh, jeez.
Death Wish or Valhalla Java? If there was only one kind under the roof.
Man, You know what? If there was only one kind under the roof, I would need my caffeine intake, so I would say Death Wish.
There we go.
There it is.
There it is. Okay.
You heard it,
That's
ladies
good.
and gentlemen.
That's good.
That's all, folks.
Finally, is there anything coming up for you, either in the company that you're excited to talk about, or just personally in your fashion world type stuff that you want to plug?
Oh, weird. So, yeah, I guess. So we have a lot of things coming out, with here at Death Wish.
Yeah. I know a lot of it's secret. We're
And
not trying to
a lot
like
of it's
get your
secret, so I
secrets.
can't really tell you much about it. But I will say, just with Grind It Out, we have a lot of really awesome subjects coming out, like Bethany Watson from
that's gonna be
Z100.
fun,
So I'm
yeah.
really excited about her video coming out. Really awesome to film that. I think that'll be out. And I mean, I'm going to be in a commercial in Norway or Sweden.
I know a
Finland.
commercial. That's so crazy. That's so much fun. Hopefully, we'll get a copy of that and we'll post it on the Death Wish Coffee page.
Yeah. So that's going to be real
We
weird.
will find it.
Yes, we will.
I'm sure it'll be on the internet. And yeah, I mean, I'm just really looking forward to summer, guys. I don't know about
Yeah,
you, but
totally.
just
I could go either way. I don't know. It's gross summers here usually.
True.
It's so muggy and buggy and
I don't know. Like I've said before, this summer, I know at least my beverages are locked down because we have the cold brew coffee and the Juicifer beer that we did with Old Saratoga. And it's just
So good.
I think I'm only going to be drinking those just on repeat.
so it'll be Death Wish Nitro Brew until noon and then Juicifer beer from
all right.
There we
Summer
go.
Fridays.
There we go.
Great.
Jeff, it's Monday. That's awesome. And is there any, I mean, obviously follow us on social media at Death Wish Coffee, but is there any personal social media you want to plug or?
Yeah, sure. You can follow me on Instagram at Stop Alyssa Time.
There we go.
And yeah, that's that's the.
It's
What's
funny. I feel like whenever we ask people to plug their social media, the answer 99% of the time is Instagram.
Because it's
Yeah.
the best out there.
I do the Twitter, but
yeah,
I'm
don't
not super,
get
I'm not
Twitter.
super
I
active on it, so
I do Twitter as well, and I tell this to people, like, Twitter to me is more like a news source.
Yeah.
I lurk on Twitter more than I actually post.
Yeah.
Whereas I feel even more so than Facebook, I feel Instagram is so much more of a community. I
Yeah.
love, especially now with the stories and
Yeah.
everything else,
Yeah.
I love being able to get a snapshot of the people that I follow and being able to interact with them however I want. If I want to just like their photo, I can. If I want to leave a comment, I can do that. You know, I can personal message some of my, really close friends, and we have Instagram, conversations and stuff. I think that platform, it's my favorite social media. But you're right.
Mine too.
Honestly, 99% of the people that we talk to, that's the one that they'll plug. Even if they have multiple, they'll plug that first.
Yeah, and it's I mean, as far as just if you wanted to connect with me, if anybody out there wants to connect with me, that's where I am. That's where I'm
Yeah.
posting. That's where you're going to see me posting stories and photos and stuff like that. So, and that's where I'll interact back with you. Where as Twitter, I might not check it.
Yeah.
So
Exactly. It's just
Yeah.
like it's there. It's something to have.
yeah.
but,
So connect with me on Instagram. I'll be
Awesome.
there.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much
Yeah,
for
this
Yeah,
was
thank
great.
you guys.
Yeah.
I was
And,
terrified, and you were wonderful. So.
Awesome.
This has been Fueled by Deathcast, a Death Wish Coffee Company podcast production. Thanks for listening.